Okay, we're going live. I think that's good. All right, so it looks like we're live on YouTube now, and I didn't have to turn on the volume, which is...
Hi, Daryl.
Just in time.
Just in time.
For those of us who are on the phone, could you share who is currently on at this point?
Sure thing, Jesse. Currently, it's myself, Susanna, Principal Peppy Phelps, a parent, Kira. I'm sorry, Kira, I forget how to pronounce your last name. Refuse, I believe. Mark Stover, Paula Dobbin, Sarah Glasser, Shayna Garrels, and Molly as our recording secretary.
Thank you.
And I'm letting Sue Armstrong into the room right now.
Excellent.
All right, folks, let's start our meeting. We have a quorum. All right, opening motto. The healing social life is found when in the mirror of each human soul, the whole community finds its reflection, and when in the community, the virtue of each one is living. All right, let's move on to excitement sharing. If folks have excitement they would like to share.
This is Jessie. I have a quick excitement to share. My daughter, Neva, had the excitement today of joining her very first Battle of the Books Club meeting. And big thanks to Molly for her support of that endeavor. And we promptly went and got all of the books on the list today. So she has a lot of excitement around that, as do I. Thank you again, Molly.
I'm twinkling, you can't see me.
I'll share some excitement. My oldest little granddaughter turned 3 a couple of weeks ago. So we celebrated her 3rd little birthday party, and it's amazing how fast 3 years. I thought my own children's lives went fast, but grandchildren's lives go even faster, as it turns out. So
Wonderful.
My excitement is that our class, Miles's class, had a parent Zoom today, and it was so good to see all the other parents and connect with them and hear what everyone else is doing and how other people are coping. And it made me realize how much I've really missed that connection with our greater school community. So it was really wonderful to see everyone and just hear how, just like in our home, everyone's experiences are sort of running the gamut of it's a tough time, but it was really good to connect with everyone, and it made me so thankful for this school.
Our excitement in the household. Viva, our kindergartner, and Venable, our preschooler, are both enjoying Viva's kindergarten school, and they're having a lot of fun with the with the different mediums of art right now. And Toppy and I finished a shed just before the snow and freeze happens, and it was a super fun project. And it's definitely a big shed, so it was kind of fun to get that even painted up and all before it was done.
I have a non-school excitement sharing, which is that when we bought our house 5 years ago, it came with this retro-looking stove, but other than looking cool, it's been awful. But it's 36 inches. So we found a used Thermador 36-inch stove for super cheap, and we just brought it in the kitchen, and I'm really excited about that.
We just got our Halloween decorations all put up at our house, and the girls are super excited for Halloween, even though I'm not sure if we're going to be trick-or-treating or not yet, but they're really into the decorations. So that's our excitement.
All right, if that is everyone's what they feel like sharing, we can move forward into approval of the minutes from the last meeting. Did everyone get a chance to review those, and were there any corrections?
Did not see any need to correct them.
All right, anybody else? All right, can we get a motion to approve the minutes as presented?
I
Motion to-
approve. Oh,
And I second.
All right, so Mark motions and Paula seconds. All right, moving on to our agenda. Are there any additions to our agenda before we approve it? All right, can I get a motion to approve the agenda as presented?
I move to approve the
motion to
agenda
approve.
as presented.
I can second, Mark.
Okay, so Jesse
Jesse.
motions and Mark seconds. Great. All right, let's move on to community comments. This is, please note, this is the public's time to talk and the board's time to listen. Winterberry Charter Council does not hear complaints against students or personnel in public session. It is not the board's practice to engage in discussion or to answer questions during community comments. Commenters' names will be recorded in the minutes. Thank you. And we will welcome any community comments at this time.
I'll make a comment since I'm here and just say thank you to our school and the staff and our community. And I speak to a lot of parents that are in other schools that are struggling with the curriculum and the delivery. And I feel so lucky that our school is just so connected and working so hard to make this virtual learning a success. So I'll just leave it there.
Thank you. Are there any other community comments? All right. Let's move on to the principal's report. Julie.
All right. You know, in the format of heart, hands, and head, our Winterberry community is keeping connected through close contact with teachers and administrative staff. We do feel like through those channels, we're really keeping a good connection with our families, which is very, very important to all of us. Warm notes, emails, and quick distanced visits when parents are doing supply pickup is another way that we've been able to see each other in what we call 3D. And it's been fun. It's been a nice, it's been very nice. I also want to say that that I got a little delivery from the superintendent. All the principals in the district did a really nice little bag, a thank you, and it was very heartwarming. So I didn't put that on my report, but I really appreciated that. Teachers continue to put together materials for periodic material pickup through the grades and drop offs of main lesson books sometimes to grade and things like that. And each class seems to have their little rhythm now that works well. Our student count for this year is 253, which is up from 236 last year, and kind of in line with our budget number of 250. So, and many of those additions came through our hybrid program, which we're excited about that. Parent-teacher conferences are next week. It's the end of the first quarter tomorrow, this Friday. Teachers will be having conferences and have Zoom links for families per class. And then we also have, that went out in the newsletter today, sign-ups to sign up with all of our specialty teachers through a Google document, so that they can meet with all of our specialties if they need to. And if it gets filled up, then we'll just make other time for specialty teachers to meet with parents, because it's only a 2-day period. So we're going to have a noon Zoom featuring our specialty teachers on Wednesday next week at noon, obviously noon Zoom, and that will be we're going to highlight, the teachers will be prepared to speak about their different specialty in the light of Waldorf education, and then be prepared to answer questions that the greater Winterberry community would bring to them about anything having to do with Spanish or music or handwork or movement. So they're excited about that. We've created a needs committee within our staff to be able to have a place to discuss and talk about the needs that are continuing to be identified throughout our community in the realms of academic, social, emotional, physical, or technological. So teachers will be gathering that information from their families during parent-teacher conferences and giving that information to our needs committee. And then from there, we will come up with ways that we can address those needs. Yeah, so that is it. And then, yeah, that's all. And is there any questions?
Principal Pepe Phelps, I had a question. Just more of a general, how do you sense or believe that our school community, the Winterberry community, is coping with this virtual schooling? What kind of reactions have you been getting from families?
Well, we're all getting a lot of appreciation initially from the teachers who are keeping in close contact with their families. A lot of appreciation and now we're getting weary. Families are getting weary. I think that's kind of across the district. That's how it's being felt. And I think that families are, trying as much as they can, and they're communicating well with their teachers. If the teachers don't hear from them, or it seems like they're in need of something, the teacher reaches out to their family. So we're trying to keep in really good weekly contact if we don't see those children in live meetings or have them turning in things as expected. But I think people are tired of the pandemic. They're tired of not seeing each other, you know, and all the other things. But I think that our families feel very supported, and they feel that what our teachers are giving them, the quality of content that they're getting, and that it's manageable, and that the requests from the students are reasonable. So that answers the question.
Thank you, Julie. That just been on my mind a lot, and I imagine you're fielding a lot from parents every day. So it's good to hear that feedback. Are there any other questions for Julie?
I'm not part of WCC, and I do have a question. So I've never attended a meeting, so I'm not sure when it's my turn to ask. So if this is the appropriate time or not.
Does it pertain to anything on our agenda? I think you should ask, and if it's inappropriate, we'll tell you. How's that?
Okay.
I'm sure it's fine though.
Okie doke. I'll put it out there, and we'll just see what happens. I am part of WPG, and our last meeting we were informed that a plan was proposed by Miss Pepe Phelps and the other staff for a reopening plan, and that was passed through WCC and then given to the ASB to approve. And I would like to have some information about that plan. I haven't heard anything. We heard it was going to be out in the newsletter. And then, of course, this is coming up in right now because the superintendent just gave another email today about reopening K through 2nd on the 19th. So that's the gist of my question.
Yeah, and that's on the agenda for tonight. That so it, because it's a letter that comes from the WCC, and this was their very next meeting. So the WCC will have been there. The members have received that letter. They've reviewed it. The discussions tonight, and then potentially the decision to go forth to give this letter to the superintendent or not.
Okay, thank you.
If I can just add that's a great question, and we'll be getting to that in a few minutes, as Principal Pepe Phelps said. But thank you for asking that, because it's definitely on all our minds. All right, are there any other questions? All right. Let us move on to the faculty report. Ms. Glasser, if you could speak to that.
Yeah, there's not a lot that Principal Pepe Phelps didn't cover. I would just add that the faculty has been doing a lot of collaborating. Mr. Crawford started a teacher talk on Friday, so we've been getting together. And just as the quarter is ending and we're looking ahead at a new quarter, we have our focus on what has worked really well, and teachers have been talking a lot about what's working in their first quarter, and then possibly making some adjustments to see how we can improve things. Next week we have our parent-teacher conferences, and I know Principal Pepe Phelps said we're going to reach out to families and see how they're doing and kind of try to identify those ones that are needing the extra support. We are collaborating on reports, as everything's just different this year. So even writing reports in a distance model where we haven't been able to be in the classroom with the children. So I think that kind of sums up all of the work that we're doing, just the basics.
Ms. Glasser, my question is similar to what I asked Principal Pepe Phelps, which is how is the faculty at Winterberry coping with this? Are they feeling supported? Do they need more from the school community? How's everyone doing?
I think feeling supported is there. I think there's a lot of weariness just the same as families. I said, it's interesting because I get feedback from families, and a lot of times they can be sheepish because I don't think anyone wants to burden their teachers, but they'll say, it's hard to do this sometimes day in and day out. And I feel like I get that as a teacher, because sometimes I'm just, I don't want to be in an empty classroom hitting record. So it is that day too. And people are trying to figure out routines, and adjust things and boundaries so that they can get it into a more manageable rhythm, since it's, we're down one quarter, but then we have to look at the realistic side of continuing and figuring out how that's going to work best with work-life balance. So that was a roundabout answer. I don't know, Molly, if you have anything to add to that.
No, I don't think so. I do feel really supported. Lots of communication with families. Yeah, it's tiring. It's a lot of hours. But I think I'm looking forward to collaborating with the other teachers just to see what we can do better next quarter, see what's working well. A lot of things are working well, and some things could be better.
Mhm.
Thank you, both of you, for sharing, and to all the hardworking teachers and staff at Winterberry. You're really above and beyond this year, so thank you. All right, I'll turn it over to Jessie for the WPG report.
Thank you. I want to start by just extending WPG's appreciation and just our gratitude to the entire faculty and all staff for everyone's efforts to support our students. At the last WPG meeting, we spent time talking about many things related to our mission around fundraising, and certainly want to highlight the wonderful time it is. It is time for Garden, our traditional time frame where we are encouraging families to give to our school in order to support our ongoing pursuits around teacher training opportunities. And it was wonderful to walk by our school in the dark in the morning of October 1st, and there was this banner reminding me right there on the gate that the campaign had started, and would like to just remind everyone on this board about the campaign that continues through the close of the month. Also, I want to acknowledge that we had some good conversations around protocol and process for how to review and consider different teacher training requests. This is an ongoing piece of work that body holds, and we had some good discussions along those lines. And, to the point that we've just been talking about, this weariness, the body did also have an opportunity to do some sharing and checking in. And while some families are finding that they have become really comfortable and they're finding ways to make this work, there were other voices that, did share sentiment about the challenges that they're facing, and just how really difficult it is to parent and support children and oftentimes work all under one roof of one's home. But it was a good meeting, a very positive meeting. And as we heard from one of our members present with us today, from Kira, I do think that there's a lot of interest, and naturally so, for families to learn more about next steps So this is conversation today is well timed.
Thank you, Jesse. Are there any questions for Jesse?
And if I may, and I do apologize, I should have also noted that we are also trying to gently remind families about the supply fee, which we are, if families are comfortable and able to support that, that is welcomed. And supply fees can be received through the ASD portal or through Ms. Colleen as well. That is all.
Thank you, Jesse, especially for the supply fee reminder, because I think it's easy to forget that if your whole routine has been upended. So that's a great reminder. Thank you. All right, let us move on. Do we have any reports from the safety committee?
No, there is no reports from the safety committee, although I did have a long conversation with our SRO this morning. I came into the parking lot around 8 o'clock and he was ahead of me, kind of circling around the parking lot. And I was like, oh, what happened? What happened at Winterberry? And no, he just said that he comes, usually it's, earlier in the morning and makes a little loop around just to be sure that nobody's camping out or anything looks unsavory around our school. And so we had a little chat about, things that are happening and all that. But anyhow, so I felt very supported by our SRO. And, but other than that, we're locking the doors, we're being safe as far as taking temperatures if anybody comes into our school beyond the lobby. And so we're following all the protocols that we have been given.
Thank you. And is there any report for outdoor play space?
The grass is growing very long and lush, not being trampled by 253 children. Not that we wouldn't want it to be trampled by that many children. So yeah, no, it's just on hold at this point in time.
Thank you. Jesse, I'll turn it back over to you for legislative policy.
Thank you. In terms of legislative policy, at this point, we are still waiting till such a time where we can get a better sense of what bills might be on their way and also what's happening with the governor's budget. Come December 15th, we will have a much better idea of any major budget reductions that might be of key concern. And I'll continue to monitor in terms of legislation that may have an impact on our school. So nothing further to report today.
Thank you. All right, let's move on to budget.
Hello. I sent everybody my budget report. I don't know if everybody has it, but I'll just go ahead and go through it. Our fiscal year Oasis ends on October 23rd. So we are in we have one more week left for our student count. Our estimated enrollment, what we did for the budget was 250. And as Julie said earlier, our current enrollment is at 253. Of those 253, we did receive 32 of them are hybrid. And a few did register in the middle of Oasis. So we will get partial funding, but we're not going to get the 100% funding. But anytime they enroll, it's good for us. Let's see. I had in the past received some questions about what the effects of our building being closed are on our budget. So I did go ahead and the few things that it did affect, put that on there for fiscal year 21, what we're in versus fiscal year at the same time of 20, so we can see the difference. Our substitute costs, obviously, we have no substitute costs, where last year we were at 9,368 for our budget. So we would, so that we're not using. So it was, obviously it's a decrease because we're in virtual learning. And we had adjustments. Most of our specialties and other staff are assisting the teachers if they are sick. So there's adjustments that had to be made. Not saying that teachers can't have sick time. We're just utilizing other ways and not utilizing substitute teaching at the moment. Our teaching supplies have increased on our standard budget from 36,000 this year currently to date from 26,000. Most of that is due to the fact that one, we needed more supplies because we needed to make sure more students received, less sharing. There was less sharing versus some of the classes had like crayons and things, and they would share. Everybody has their own set right now, and we're sent home due to the virtual, as well as I usually subsidize some of our student supplies fees to pay for some of those things that have occurred throughout the year. So that has not been utilized. That did bring us back to when you guys were talking about supply fees and things. We are discussing supply fees, but we're being very gentle, which is what I think we've discussed in past meetings about not pushing too much, only if they can, if families feel they can pay the supply fees due to hardships and things like that right now. So we are seeing some of the supply fees being paid, but definitely not what we are used to. But, it does seem to balance, as you can see, from our substitutes. So we are kind of where we should be. Same thing with our building utility costs. You can see we're at 7,225 for our utilities versus the 9,510. And that's due to, not needing to heat the building as much because, we have controlled heating in certain rooms, not use of as much water as we're needing, things like that. So where we see an increase in one part of the budget, we are seeing decreases in other parts. So ultimately is not a huge impact on our budget. Just so everybody knows, fiscal year 22 budget is to come. That's what the races is for. So we'll be seeing probably those numbers. In the past, I've usually seen them sometime in mid-November. I have seen them because of legislation, things like that, not come until late November. So as soon as those come in, I'll let everybody know so we can figure out and we can get the budget done and you guys can vote on it, and we can probably be voting on it in November. We were hoping last year to do it in November, but it didn't work out. So it might be December. We'll see. So any questions? No? Well, good.
Thank you, Shayna. All right, let's move on to the Alliance for Public Waldorf Education. Principal Peppy Phelps, do you have anything to report?
Only that we had talked about taking that off of our agenda because I made contact with the Alliance and they are happy to move in any direction that we would like to move in, and sort of the ball's in our court now as far as whether we'd like an Alliance member to come to a board meeting and explain what the Alliance is. And we had said, I think the last meeting, that we just kind of hold off on that right now. Like we've got enough going on that maybe we wouldn't pursue the Alliance right now. So we can keep it on the agenda and kind of, I'll just wait for anybody to say, yes, invite them to the meeting and they'd be happy to come, so.
Julie, as you're saying that, I remember that conversation. So thank you for bringing that up. And I've made a note for next meeting. So it currently says stasis next to it. So we'll keep it on the agenda, but okay. Yeah, that sounds good. All right. Let us move on to the grant committee. Is there anything to report?
Yes, there is. Pardon me. First, I need to apologize for being late to today's meeting. I was witness to a crime or several crimes immediately preceding to our board meeting, and I had to talk to the police. So I'm sorry for being late today, but hopefully they'll get that guy with my witness statement. Yes, we do have something to report for the grants committee. We had an air quotes meeting because the grants committee really is just Peter Host and I. I didn't check to see if he's on the call today, but of course he's not. So we had several discussions now, and the WPG is having parallel discussions with their fundraising committee, which I peeked in on a little bit. Really right now, the grants committee needs to do a little bit of work finding out what the school needs. And so does the WPG, I think. You know, we have the perpetual sort of gear issue. We have strings, we want to fund those. We have other needs. We have classroom needs. Kalisa Casting is working with the WPG and also advises us on the grants committee. And she suggested that we pursue with the faculty and or staff and our administration some, I guess Donors Choose is a website. I think there's been some discussion of that in the past. Donors Choose is something we can look into. I don't know what's been discussed with the faculty so far on that. But we have also some sort of hurdles with the, I guess the strings and or ski and or gear issues. The grants aren't opening up until spring. And we also received some grants for ski gear already. So we may have some uphill grants issues with that. But bottom line is, I'd like to have the grants committee meet with the faculty. That's either individually or at a faculty meeting and discuss what they need and how we can help them and get the dialogue moving forward more than we have in the past. So that's our next plan. And yeah, so that's the summary of the grants committee. Any questions? In other words, Ms. Pepe Phelps, perhaps you could help us, you know, get in touch with the faculty at the next faculty meeting. Maybe we could just come and just talk a little bit for 3 minutes and make a pitch.
Yes. Yes. Thank you very much, Alex. And the faculty is very appreciative of any, you know, of needs, trying to find needs and things like that. I think we've just all been very preoccupied trying to completely learn a different, different way of being. So you know,
the time frame on this is not urgent. You know, we're looking months in advance here. So
okay, thank you.
Thank you so much, Alex, for that report and for continuing to work on this. So thank you. And also to Peter, who I know couldn't be here tonight. All right, so our item of business tonight, our first item is the discussion regarding the letter to the superintendent, Dr. Bishop, from the Winterberry Charter Council. This letter was developed in a committee. And I think what we need is to reach a consensus, and that could mean everyone agreeing or people disagreeing, but regardless, I want it to be very clear where we stand on this for the good of our greater school community. So I would like to hear from members of the committee just about what is contained in this letter. And it might be helpful if someone could provide just a basic outline of what the plan is to anyone who needs to hear that before we move forward with a vote. Did that make sense?
Julie, Madam Chair, if I can, not to your plan, just in general, I just want to point out that, again, charter schools, as you all know, are governed by the APC, in your case, the WCC. So you make governance committees. A while back, I started getting calls from some of the APC members of different charter schools asking, can we do something different? If the superintendent plans to go in one way, can we do this? And so we came forward where we just told the charter schools, if you have a different proposal you want to put forth, get it to me, and I would bring it to my senior leadership and eventually bring it to Dr. Bishop. So I really want to be clear that we weren't soliciting differences or people going different directions, but several charter schools have put in for proposals for, 3 of them are for delayed start and want to start second semester. And then there's a couple of other different ones. But I just want to be clear, that's kind of how the process took place in the first place. Again, we're in very unusual times. We're in very difficult times. And people are making tough decisions. And I know this is a tough decision for the WCC. So I just wanted to frame that. I don't want to speak to your proposal, but that's kind of how I think we got to where you're at.
Susanna, this is Jessie. Can I make a statement on this?
Sure, that would be great. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And Daryl, thank you very much for your words in relation to the process. At our last meeting, we understood that the WCC wanted to take an initial step of making an overture to the district. And we had an agreement on the fact that we wanted to seek some level of flexibility. And so really what has happened since our last meeting is that the committee that was formed during that meeting went forward with, that goal. And we worked on a draft letter, which was shared with the superintendent. But that letter really, and a synopsis of it is that we were asking for the ability to reflect on the needs of our community. And we asked if we would be able to work in partnership with the district to move forward with some flexibilities that are afforded to us given our charter. So, that's the step that was taken, but there has not been a time in which the WCC has put forward an actual plan to the school district. That's where we're at right now. And I just wanted to kind of help clarify that for process of where this body is at right now.
And Jessie, I put the letter, and I want to give everybody a chance to look at it, and then I'll scroll through, but I put it up, shared my screen. Can everybody see that? Can everybody see that? Okay. So maybe, would you like me to read it out loud so that you can, for those who are on phone?
Well, and so Julie, I want to make sure that we're talking about the same letter. So there was an initial letter that the WCC provided, and then now there's a new sort of letter that reviews what it is that the faculty has put together, which the committee has reviewed as well. So which one are you thinking of starting with?
Well, I put on the screen the letter that was attached to this WCC meeting's agenda for the WCC's consideration. And it's also to the superintendent, but it's more specific as to what it is, so, it goes into the plan of what the WCC with the shared committee of the faculty's input and all the and keeping in mind the survey that we did with our greater community, it kind of pulls in all that data and proposes a plan. And that's what the letter, the second letter is now.
Yes. Very good. I think that that's the appropriate place, because this body has not had a time yet to review that as a whole and discuss it. But really, as a committee member, I will share that I'm very thankful for the time that has been devoted to this and the inclusion and the process whereby all faculty members were involved in the creation of this proposed plan. So thank you very much, Julie.
No, of course. So how would you, Susanna, how would you like me to proceed, or how would you like to proceed? Do you want to read it? I mean, I have it on my screen. I mean, I shared my screen. Do you want me to, I could just scroll while you read, or whatever it is that you feel is most appropriate?
I would like you to read because you're a better reader out louder than I am.
We'll see.
But I do want it read out loud so that it's just very crystal clear what we are doing here.
Okay. The letter is dated October 1st. That was when it was put together, and has just been awaiting this this meeting with the WCC. Dear Superintendent Bishop, thank you for allowing us to remain flexible as we formulate a back-to-school plan for Winterberry Charter School per your meeting with Daryl Vincek on September 25th, 2020. We have assessed the specific needs of our community and have developed a framework in order to more fully serve our Winterberry families. Following is our recent Winterberry Family Survey results. We have based our request to you on data gathered in our survey to our whole Winterberry community, in which we utilized our district Blackboard email and text messaging. Our back to school faculty committee's work has been to align our Waldorf education core value of rhythm into our proposed program for our Waldorf inspired charter school. We, the Governance Board of Winterberry Charter School, propose the following plan supported by the information we receive from our community, and respectfully request the option of continuing to respond to our community's request in accordance with our charter. As we respond to the needs most pressing to our students' education, we will continue working in close partnership with you and ASD's Charter School Director, Daryl Vincek. Thank you for your consideration. Winterberry Charter Council /APC. So then as we go along, here is the next page. We request Winterberry to remain virtual through the first semester, 52% of our community, when asked about returning under proposed ASD plan for face-to-face classroom learning on October 19th, responded that they would be uncomfortable, very uncomfortable, or prefer to return later in the year. Next bullet point. Once ASD allows to offer additional outdoor social, emotional, physical, and science-based learning, 75% of our community, when asked about returning for outdoor-only activities, expressed the desire to participate in outside offerings. Next bullet point. To continue our Waldorf-inspired daily asynchronous main lessons, afternoon small group instruction, specialty classes, and ongoing contact with parents, as they have been very well received. A core value of Waldorf education is rhythm, and we see this as an essential component of maintaining a strong learning environment. Staying virtual will allow us to maintain the rhythm that we started this year and allow the time to improve our ability to deliver the highest quality of virtual learning that we are able to offer. Once ASD opens, our school week would look similar to this. Monday through Friday, mornings, main lesson, preferably in the morning, asynchronous, in grades 1 through 8. Kindergarten has ongoing educational and developmentally appropriate offerings for children, Waldorf educational instruction to families, and close support from the teacher. Afternoons, small group instruction supported by our SPED staff when applicable. Specialty classes, Spanish, music, handwork, and movement, social Zooms, presentations, parent Zoom meetings. Weekly offerings of outdoor experiences, i.e. nature walks, botany studies, Alaska animal studies, mapping and directional skills, scientific observation, plein air painting, movement class. These offerings would be supported by class teachers, specialty teachers, and staff for proper field trip ratio if applicable. We believe this outdoor addition to be both necessary as an antidote to the amount of screen time, as well as a remedy to the emotional isolation that many students are experiencing during this pandemic. Movement builds our proprioceptive and vestibular abilities, and being outdoors fortifies our sense of life or well-being. From our charter. Rhythmic learning in which daily and weekly rhythms allow for review and repetition to arise naturally from the rich imagination and experiences that form the lessons. The structure of the school day at Winterberry Charter School is attuned to students' inherent biorhythms. The most intense and focused learning happens at the beginning of the day when the students are most receptive. Each day begins with a 2-hour period known as the main lesson. This teaching unit is integrated and cross-curricular and includes activities to awaken and focus attention. 40 to 45-minute subject lessons follow the main lesson. Academic subjects take priority in the morning. The afternoons are usually used for arts and crafts, outdoor activities, sports, and practical work. Subjects such as music, movement, and foreign language, which benefit from regular practice, are evenly spaced throughout the middle of the day whenever possible. And then as we go down, there's, I just cut and pasted the results from our all school survey into a pie chart, which seems to be a nice way to look at things. So I'll just review. What is your comfort level with your student returning October 19th per the safety protocols, masks, distancing, hand washing, sanitizing, facility sanitizing given by the school district? That was the question, first question on the survey. 27% said very comfortable, 20 said moderately comfortable, 23% said uncomfortable, 18 said very uncomfortable, 2% said they didn't know, and 11% said would be more comfortable returning later in the year. Next question on the survey. How comfortable are you with your student participating in outdoor only activities at school in combination with current virtual lessons? 47% said very comfortable, 28% said moderately comfortable, 17% said uncomfortable. There's no yellow. How funny. Okay, so there was a very uncomfortable category, but maybe nobody chose that. 8% said they don't know, and where's the other one? Would be more comfortable returning later in the year. Didn't look at that very carefully because there's no, okay. Question number 3.
I think Julie, if you add it up, that's 100%.
I know. So maybe nobody chose that?
No, I mean, I see 47%, and the other looks like almost 50+%. So. Okay.
All right. We'll go with they didn't choose those things. Question number 3. If you are planning to send your student back to school, what is the most pressing need for your student at this time? 33% said social emotional, 3% said academic, only, or, like chose academic, 33 said social emotional, 41% said both, and 23% said not planning to send my student back. Again, just to underscore, we have a virtual option for all of our families. They have a Waldorf-inspired curriculum that was given to every family at Winterberry in the beginning of the school year called Earth Schooling. So parents have the option of keeping their children off of a screen if they wanted to just fully gather that information and homeschool them in that way. If Winterberry were to continue with virtual only learning through the first semester, would this create an economic hardship for your family? 8% said yes, it would. 20% said yes, but manageable, and 71% said no, not an issue. Okay, that's it. Are there any questions, or you want me to go back over anything before I?
Okay, I had a question, which was how many total people responded to the survey?
How many people? Okay, well, I have that information, but let me find it in my email box, and I'll let you know.
Okay, I mean, even a rough estimate, like compared to the last survey, is fine. I was just curious, you know.
Oh, a great amount. A great amount of families responded. So I'll find that number because I have it on my little Survey Monkey, update or whatever. So I'm gonna just stop sharing there. Anyway, I'll get that information for you in just a second. Just gotta check my email.
Okay, all right, we'll move on with discussion and you can pipe in when you have it. All right, I think it would be best, I want to make sure everyone who wants to speak has a chance to speak. So I just would invite everyone to be conscious of sharing the space with everyone else, but I'd like to hear everyone's thoughts right now. Just as a reminder, we're going to be voting on adopting this plan as it's outlined and the plan that was developed by a WCC committee. So that's where the direction of your thoughts should be going at the moment. I'll start. My thoughts are coming from as a parent. I am very conscious of the health of my family unit, which is comprised of 2 households. And it's really, we've been very conservative, more than a lot of people, about our exposure level, and sending our son back to school is a little scary, but I also know that he needs to have time with his peers, especially because he's in 8th grade and this is his last year at Winterberry. So I'm very torn is where I come down. I really like this plan as far as incorporating some meeting. And as you know, Daryl, I think you've said that as long as we're not less conservative than the district, we have an opportunity to create a plan that really works for how our school functions and how to best serve our students. So I'm in favor of this plan, and I'm also just really sensitive to our families and our community who are juggling far more than they should be. And I think I come from a place of a lot of privilege, but if I really feel for the families who are just really struggling right now and want to support them. So that's my 2 cents, and I'll turn it over to whoever would like to speak next. Ms. Glasser?
Just to cut in, there was 214 responses, and it's a little bit unclear as to, exactly who responded. They had to have a separate email to respond to the survey and take it. So, but it would show that either, the vast majority of our families responded to it, is what I'm thinking that it shows.
Okay, thank you.
So I just have a clarifying question, and I don't know if it can be answered, but when the working committee got together and this letter was drafted, it was under the assumption that the district was moving ahead with the October 19th start date for K through 6. And now today the announcement is November 19th for K through 2. And so I just want to clarify, if our proposal is to maybe continue with the virtual and then offer outdoor experiences, would that be limited to K through 2 in keeping with being as conservative or less, or would we, or would it be for the whole school, or would that be considered less conservative?
Again, not speaking for Winterberry, but I know some of the other schools, part of their plan is bringing kids back in small group formats, regardless of the grades. Even Anchorage Stream is doing that with 6th through 8th graders. They are bringing kids back in. Highland Academy is also doing that. I would ask that first Principal Pepe Phelps submits a health safety report that that elementary ed just put out a couple of days ago. And once we're confident that you have a good health safety plan in place and all protocols are going to be followed and all the boxes are checked and we know kids are going to be safe and staff are going to be safe, we would allow, it could be for Winterberry, it could be K-8 if the WCC chose.
Mm.
Thank you, Daryl. I had the same question, so that's really good to hear.
So this is Jesse, just a clarifying question then. For this conversation now, Susanna, would you want this body to be thinking of it as a K through 8, so long as the school's safety plan goes through that review process and is deemed approved?
I think unless we hear strongly from the faculty otherwise, that is what we should be considering, yes.
Okay, understood. Thank you.
And just a point for faculty, the email that went out today about the November 19th start date K through 2 went out after our staff meeting, so it hasn't been discussed at all at the faculty level.
It's a October 16th. I mean, a November 16th start date. The 19th is the other date.
I also want to just briefly add, from a purely parent-based perspective, it seems that having only K through 2 with this outdoor option would invite a logistical nightmare for parents with children in multiple grades. And so that's definitely on my mind when saying I'm in favor of that. Are there other folks who'd like to speak? I'd love to hear other thoughts on this.
Hi, I'll just chime in and say that that sounds like a great plan. It was harder at the beginning of the year to be doing the virtual schooling, but now it's going really smoothly, and I'm nervous about going back and then going back to home. And I think the idea of keeping our virtual schooling, our main lesson, consistent and virtual, it seems like an excellent idea. And then if we can have these extra outside times when they feel safe, that seems like a great idea. So nice work. And I think this is a good plan. It does seem like strange to maybe eke out K through 2 versus the whole school, but as a parent, I'm not going to worry too much about those details. I know you guys will work out what is best for our school. So thank you.
I'll voice up for a second. I know the world that my family experiences is quite different than everybody else just because we're in kindergarten, and it's a lot less intense than having an 8th grader. That said, you know, I'd like to raise support as to the letter. I thought it was concise. It used informative data that was real time, and I thought that the letter itself expressed our values in an open way. So I'd like to move forward with the letter.
I would agree with that. I think you know, it was data driven, and I think it reflects the concerns a lot of families have about returning to school in person when we're in a very high risk scenario in terms of the number of cases that are or the infection rate here in the city. And I think it's just judicious and well thought out, and in harmony with the charter of the school. So I support it.
This is Jessie, and I am in full support of this approach. I think it gives a lot of choice to parents and a lot of flexibility, and appreciate the fact that any family that would feel most safe to just continue going virtual only, they may do so. And then those families that would wish to have an opportunity for students to mingle in a safe way outside, that is a fantastic option for those families. So I'm in full support and very appreciative of the process, the way in which families were surveyed, and the inclusion of faculty and staff in the process. So thank you again.
I'd just like to comment that I think this letter did a good job of weighing the sort of different desires of the families to have different levels of contact with the school by, compromising with the outdoor solution, which also permits our teachers to appropriately direct their time and resources to the online education, which has to continue, it seems like. So I think it did a good job of sort of splitting the baby. I think I think it made the best of a bad situation, and it does exactly what I personally would prefer to do with my children at Winterberry. So I support the letter.
I could speak up as a staff member and as a kindergarten parent, which is just the one central thing that came out of this staff meeting concern around coming back, other than safety concerns, was wanting to keep the central Winterberry values of predictable rhythm. And it's really hard, if people want to return to school when it can be done, and the idea that we might have to return and then switch gears and go back was the main driving force for wanting to keep a virtual offering. And so I think that is unanimously supported across the staff, and then looking for ways that we can improve with outside offerings. So as a parent and then as a teacher, I would support the letter going forward.
Before we move to a motion for this, is there anyone else who would like to share?
Could I share, even though I'm not officially a member?
Yes.
Well, I fully support this. I was on the committee that worked on it. And just like Sarah said, our concerns are health and rhythm and meeting our values. And I just wanted to say we're really committed to helping the people who need extra support. And we're really going to next week try to eke out like what those needs are and how our community can help support those people.
Through the chair, if I may, first of all, I appreciate the process that the WCC went through and the Winterberry staff and Principal Pepe Phelps. Again, these are heavy, difficult decisions that we're making, and they're tough. I request that you would CC me on the letter as well. I noticed I'm not CC'd, so if you could do that, I would really appreciate it. And I would also, just as a point of order, I know it's not been the practice of the WCC to have a dissenting vote when you vote on motions, but because of the gravity of this particular motion that's, I'm assuming, is going to be made, I would strongly recommend to the WCC that you also have the ability for WCC members to offer a dissenting vote if one was so moved. So thank you.
Daryl, thank you. And I completely agree with you. And you speak to what I was hoping to, or was planning to say, which is that ordinarily we twinkle, but because of this, as Daryl said, the gravity of this, I want us to each give either an affirmative aye or a no or a nay for our votes, so that we can have it very clearly recorded in the minutes, and that it just wanted to be very apparent to our school community that we took this seriously and we did our best to do it with full transparency and care for our school's process and for the safety of everyone involved. So that being said, do we have any further, is there anything anyone would like to say, including dissenting opinions, which are welcomed, as well, or are we ready to have a motion?
So this is not a dissenting opinion or comment at all, but I have a question. This is Jessie. A question about, in a previous meeting, there was some discussion about the level of support at a district level for charter schools around, mitigation tools, masks, and supplies needed. And I'm wondering if there's any further clarification along those lines, as our school may be in fact preparing for some form of face-to-face engagement with children. I'm just wondering if there's any additional information that can be shared with us as to the level of support Winterberry would receive with those types of items moving forward.
I don't see Julie unmuting, so.
Well,
All the charter schools, I don't know if I explained this the last WCC meeting, but the charter schools were unique in that when the Anchorage School District received CARES funding, Andy Ratliff, our Senior Director of Budget Management, actually divided the charter schools share, and the charter schools actually received the funding. I don't have that in front of me. Julie, do you know what Winterberry received?
as far as funding for CARES?
Yeah, it was
funding?
our CARES Act. It was about 50, if I remember, I'm going off the top of my head here. We did discuss it in the last meeting. I want to say it's between 52 and 56,000, and that part of that money we did use to get everybody their own earth schooling curriculum.
Mm-hmm.
I needed to pull the report. I'm having to ask Andy how to pull the report because there was no where in IFAS I could pull the report. However, I want to say we've used about 13 or 14,000 of it. So we have quite a bit of money left. However, and Julie could probably talk about what Nurse Katrina has received. She has received a lot of PPE that we have received from the district, lots of stuff. Obviously, if we're open, we're probably going to go through it fairly quick, which is why we still will have a significant amount of that CARES Act money to be able to utilize.
Yeah. And the first round of PPE was on the district, regardless of the fact that you received your portion of CARES Act funding. But yeah, and some of those things should be pre-ordered because, as you know, they're hard to get to. So, or hard to get. I mean, things are back ordered.
Thank you for that, Daryl.
I'd like to, I hesitate, but I'd like to ask Daryl a question. It sort of pertains, it's tangentially related to this letter. We've said a number of times now that Principal Pepe Phelps has some latitude to choose to have a more restrictive opening, but not a less restrictive opening than is allowed by the school district. And, you know, at first I thought of that as a sort of a binary choice. If the school district opens, we can open. If they close, we have to close. But is it that binary choice? Is there room for interpretation? For example, we'll be potentially here attending school in person outdoors. Is there any, I guess what am I trying, I didn't really have a good way of asking the question other than we are, if the neighborhood schools don't open up for in-class classes, is there a possibility that Winterberry could still hold outdoor classes despite the fact that the school district's indoor classes are sort of forbidden? I know that's not probably an answer, a question you can answer, but I just wanted to raise the question now in case it should come up.
Alex, there is some, I mean, the district is already, they have several schools that are doing face-to-face reading groups, and they're looking at, you know, how has that been going? But again, looking at safety protocols, making sure everything's in place. So the district is starting to expand that. And as I mentioned, Stream and Highland Academy are already bringing some kids back in very, monitored ways. And so that would, as Winterberry moves forward, I'd want to see the plans from Principal Phelps and make sure, first of all, she's got to submit the report that all elementary principals are required to do. It just came out. And once she and I go over that and we get that approved, then small groups can come back, especially if you're outside. But again, it would be, the expectation would be that you would be following all safety protocols. We want to keep our kids safe. We want to keep our families safe, and we want to keep our staff safe.
Thank you. I guess you did actually answer my question earlier. Sorry to repeat the question. Thank you.
Not a problem.
All right, folks, are we ready to have a motion to adopt this?
I motion to adopt it.
I'll second.
All right, so we're crystal clear for the minutes. Mark has motioned to adopt the plan outlined in this letter to Dr. Bishop at the Anchorage School District regarding Winterberry's plan to offer virtual or outdoor learning opportunities for students when we are given the go-ahead from the school district. Yes?
Well, and also, Susanna, just those two components, and I maybe missed the first part, to one, remain virtual, to have a virtual component until January. And then the second would be then to open an outdoor component. So those two things that are you know, that will maybe not match district, except only in,
Point of
Uh,
order,
And
I
this
would
is
suggest
Jesse. I
amend
have,
amend the motion.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I thought I was motioning to vote. Are we voting first and then? Oh, it's not about that.
Can I suggest that
Voting.
you
Well-
amend the motion to adopt the letter as written?
so I move to amend the motion on the table so that it reads that we are moving to adopt the letter as presented.
I'll second that.
All right, thank you. So everyone, when just unmute yourself after someone else has gone and offer either your yay or nay vote. I'll go first. I'm Susanna Numi. I vote yay.
My name is Alex Sheets. I vote yay.
This is Shayna Garrels. I vote yay.
Paula Dobbin, I vote yay.
Jesse Menkins, I vote yay.
Sarah Glasser, I vote yay.
Sue Armstrong, I vote yay.
Mark Stover, I vote yay.
All right, thank you. So just for the record, that is a unanimous vote to adopt this. Thank you everyone for walking through this process and for sharing your thoughts. Let's move on to our final agenda item, which is gratitude.
I'll start with gratitude for our parent body who are shouldering more than they ever bargained to shoulder during this year, this pandemic time frame, and our teachers who are doing more than they ever thought they would do in their Waldorf, when they signed up to be Waldorf teachers, and had little discussions with their parents in the beginning of the year to keep children off screens. So that said, we are doing our best for the health, and I really am grateful. I'm very grateful to parents and to our teachers.
This is Sue, and I just have gratitude to my kiddos' teachers that have been, as Sarah said, presenting to an empty classroom, but giving it like 100 and 2000%. And that as I have a third grader who really is not enjoying this. But when he gets on, like, it takes a while to get him on the computer. Only for this, I can get him on the computer for anything else. But once he gets on, he's all in. So just gratitude to the teachers for doing this in a very probably uncomfortable, unnatural.
If I may, I just express my gratitude to Principal Phelps. He has just provided incredible leadership under the most challenging of times. You've heard me say it. I was a principal for 18 years. I cannot fathom what the principals are doing right now. And for Principal Phelps to have modified, adapted, adjusted, and bringing her staff and her community through this has been incredible with grace and with grace. So my gratitude to you. You make my job a lot easier.
Thank you very much. Very well said, Daryl. And I too want to share my gratitude for the leadership shown by Principal Pepe Phelps. Thank you very much, Julie, for everything you're doing for our school. You are doing a fantastic job, and I really appreciate you very much.
Thank you. I'm honored.
Thank you all for writing a beautiful letter and collecting good data. It's well done. Thank you.
I also would like to say thank you to Julie and the faculty for holding the school together during this really intense time, and thank you to the rest of the Winterberry Charter Council for your work tonight, and just all the effort that's going forward to just keep our students educated and to support our families during what is really an unprecedented time. And I want to make a special call out to my children's teachers, Ms. Towner and Ms. Spillane, who always go the extra mile to make sure that my kids are engaged and are learning, and just taking that extra mile during what's already like an incredibly draining period of time. So thank you so much.
I've got some gratitude just for the community in general, because I can feel that there's a split, but people seem very supportive and willing to pitch in and do what is necessary without animosity. And to parents like Kira, who's joining and who offers circle Zooms for kindergartners. So it's been, an incredible thing to see people pitching in and doing things for each other in new capacity.
I want to voice my gratitude to all of you for showing up once a month on Zoom. And, I think it's safe to say that this has been a really challenging thing to navigate, as we're sort of in unprecedented territory as a charter council. So thank you to all of you for bringing your full heart and intelligence to this board and helping our school through this time. And thank you for keeping on showing up, even though I'm sure we're all incredibly sick of Zoom. So thank you, all of you. All right, can I get a motion to adjourn? Oh, Daryl.
Wait, can I, I'm sorry, can I just put a quick plug in? We are having an Open Meetings Act training on October 29th from 5:30 to 7:30. This is my 6th year in this position. This will be the 6th presenter. Lon and Timmy from Alaska Association of School Boards will be presenting. Again, it's always important information to make sure we're following Open Meetings Act properly. So hopefully some of the WCC can attend. Julie has the link and she'll send it to you. Thank you.
Daryl, this might be a question for you about the minutes. Should I include details of the discussion, or shall I just say the members of the WC discussed the letter and they voted unanimously 8-0 with the motion and the second information in there?
Yes, just not the discussion. Our friend Ann McFarland from Jurassic Parliament would tell you you don't put in the discussion.
Thank you.
It's been recorded.
It's on YouTube right now. So.
Yep.
Daryl, thank you for reminding me. I also, I had a request from Iris, who heads up the fundraising committee for the WPG, and Jessie already gave her plug for the garden, but I also just wanted to echo that and add my own support for donating to the garden initiative. I feel like our teachers are always amazing, but I think the perfect example of how meaningful that initiative is really being proven this year with all the creative ways that Winterberry teachers are approaching educating our children. And it just really provides a way to show some tangible support for that. And I know that, you know, the training that they've received because of that is really coming out in really beautiful ways. So please consider supporting. It would be great if, as a board, we had 100% participation. Even if it's $5, that is totally, I think any participation is wonderful. So thank you for considering doing that and lending our support to our school, and especially to our amazing teachers. So thank you. All right, having said that, can I please get a motion to adjourn?
This is Sue. I make a motion to adjourn.
All right,
Second, Paula.
all right, all in favor? All right, thank you, everyone, and we'll see you in November.
Thank you, everybody. Have a good night.
Thank you.